Hey everyone, my name is Mel and I'm the in-game leader for Cloud9 White.
Why are they? What are they?
Mel, they came through into the eyeball. You love that. Could be elbow, mid.
Oh my god!
Today, I'm super excited to be presenting a new kind of video for you guys. Riot has partnered with me in order to bring you all a tutorial on how to play Viper. In this video, I'm going to be covering 3 different levels of play and how Viper can augment your gameplay in each tier. Whether you're a beginner, experienced, or a high-level player in the top 1%, you'll be sure to find some takeaway from this video. Feel free to share anything I missed or even your own tips and tricks down below in the comments. With that said, enjoy the video. First and foremost, let's go over Viper for beginners. Ranks Iron through Gold. Let's briefly go over Viper's role in her kit. Viper is one of 4 controllers, a type of agent that specializes in breaking enemy sightlines. While other controllers use spherical smokes to break line of sight, Viper is unique. Her signature ability is a wall that can extend over large portions of the map. On top of having a toxin wall, she also has a throwable smoke. Viper's kit also has 2 6-second mollies that inflict 12 damage per second, but these also apply the vulnerable debuff. This debuff is huge. It means that anyone that is ticked by the molly will take double damage from all sources for a short period of time. Finally, Viper's ultimate spawns a large toxic cloud that decays enemies and makes it hard for anyone to see while inside of the ult. Viper can play out of the ult for 15 seconds, allowing for a lot of ratty plays. Now for her strengths. Viper is great on defense to stop fast pushes from the attackers. She has the ability to stall out a single choke point for 12 seconds with just her mollies alone. This is more than enough time for your teammates to come and help. Viper's util can be placed during freeze time, so you can actually set all of your util down and not have to worry about placing it in the middle of the round, unlike other controllers like Brimstone with his iPad, or Omen in the Smoke World, or Astra in the Astral Realm. The orb, however, can be picked up if you are in proximity. The wall can't be moved after it's been placed though, so keep that in mind. Because of how much area and line of sight Viper can cut off, her utility can place a tremendous amount of pressure on the defense. On Bind Short A, for example, you can completely cut off the defense's vision of Short, making them paranoid of whether someone could be walking up or not. More on this later. As for her weaknesses, because her kit is so powerful, that generally means that Viper isn't an agent you want to die first in a round. So you don't want to be the person on your team playing super aggressive, taking risky fights, or entering into a site first. There are actually exceptions to this rule that I'll talk about later, but for the most part, you are more useful to your team by staying alive as long as possible, and using your utility. Secondly, opping is very hard to pull off as Viper. Viper's strength is playing around her wall and her smoke, which naturally cut off sightlines, so opping is antithetical because you'll be cutting off your own line of sight. In short, Viper is an extremely rewarding agent for cerebral players, whether that means coming up with intricate setups with util and defense, or giving yourself timings and opportunities to lurk with your utility on attack. She is a great agent for players that enjoy outsmarting their opponents. Viper for experienced players, Gold through Plat. Okay, so you know how Viper works. You don't need her abilities explained to you and all that. You know what she can bring to a team. Maybe you main her or can even fill her in ranked. But you might have a few questions, like what are some basic setups that I should know? What maps is she good on? And why do people run Viper as a second controller in a comp? I'm here to answer those questions as best as I can. So let's start with what maps should I play Viper on? Using data from the most recent NAVCT Open Qualifier, Viper was the 4th most picked agent in competitive play at 57%, behind Astra, Jet, and Sova. She is played on every map except for Haven and Ascent, where her pick rate is only 2 to 5%. On Breeze and Icebox, she is picked almost 100% of the time and boasts an 80% pick rate on Bind and Fracture. So really, you can't go wrong with picking Viper most of the time. Okay, but why should I play Viper when there's already a controller in some maps? On maps like Bind, Split, and Fracture, Viper is more often than not picked alongside Astra in competitive play. This is because Viper's kit is too powerful to pass up in most comps. She is a controller by name, but her ability to stall out sight hits makes her very similar to a Sentinel. On attack, her ability to cut off a defender's line of sight opens up a lot of opportunities to lurk, pressure the defense, that other agents just can't do. In the right hands, the lurk pressure that Viper can apply is undeniable, and it forces the defense to use resources to counter this pressure. Here, I'm going to show you guys some basic setups that you can pretty much just copy paste into your own games. Feel free to pause at any point And also check out the description for links to any of the lineups that you might need. If the smoke has the number 1, it's a one-way. Here are some attack setups on Icebox. Here are some defense setups on Icebox. Here's some things you can do on defense bind. And for split, some lurk walls at A and B. Viper for high-level players, Diamond through Radiant. Now that you've been playing Viper for a while, it's time to take it to the next level. In my eyes, what separates a good Viper from a great Viper is their ability to combo util with their team, both on attack and defense, high-level understanding of lurk timings and opportunities, and knowing how to play against other Vipers. Let's go down the list. One example of good team play as Viper on defense is using your mollies to combo with Sova Shock Dart or Raise Nade to stop the attackers from planning on Icebox A site. You've probably found yourself on A site plenty of times, but if you're playing retake anyway, you could try saving your mollies for the initial exec and instead wait for your Sova to rotate from mid to do his Shock Darts right after you molly. This play almost always guarantees a kill in ranked, and if not, then it just stalls the bomb plant for long enough for your team to start retaking. An example of team play as Viper in attack would be asking your Sova or Skye to drone or dog you up short with your lurk wall on short A bind. The drone or dog allows you to take fights confidently and punish the defense for not using utility to stop your lurk. It's a win-win. If the defense doesn't use utility to stop you from walking up, they concede map control or get killed from getting tagged by the drone. If they do use utility, like let's say they use an Astrosuck, a nade, Viper Molly, or even a counter drone, then you just baited out important utility that the defense won't be able to use later in the round. And that's all because they're worried about you lurking up, which you might not even be doing. You could just pop the smoke and have the drone go up and not even be there. Lurk timings and opportunities. A big aspect of playing Viper is knowing when and where to lurk. This is a skill that can only really be honed by playing the game, but watching VODs and pro players can help improve your game sense as well. An example of this is knowing how to abuse mid on Icebox. So let's say you're playing against a Jet, Reyna, Sova, Viper, and Sage comp. By smoking mid, the defense now has to be careful of 3 different lanes that someone could walk out of: Tube, Connector, and A-Link. To counter this, the defense has to play 3 people in mid to cover each lane. But alternatively, and most commonly, teams will just play their Sova in mid because their dart will reveal anyone trying to walk behind your smoke. If their dart gets broken, or enough time has passed, they'll probably just start to drone out and clear mid. Sometimes they'll even have a teammate walk down with it to peek. This is all because of one smoke. So how do I lurk against this? There are tons of variables, and if you've made the same conclusions that I've drawn up, then you're already halfway there. The next step is knowing to not lurk up too early so you don't get revealed by the dart and tagged by the drone. You also don't want to walk up if your teammates aren't making any noise across the map. Otherwise, they won't be pulling rotates and eyes away from mid. If your rest of your team is A defaulting and threatening exec, for example, and if things go just right, then you might have a timing to cross mid while your smoke is up and catch a rotating defender off guard. This is what I mean by understanding lurk timings, and you can find an example of this pretty much on every map you play Viper. Lastly, you need to know how to play against other Vipers. At this point, you've probably been able to carry many rounds off the back of your lurks. However, once you start playing at a higher level, everyone is going to be doing those same lurks, but to your team. So it's important to know your own weaknesses in order to stop others from having the same impact. An example of this would be short A on bind. Let's say that the other Viper is using the Gambit lurk wall. This wall was played at champs by the best teams in the world for a reason. So how would you counter this wall? One solution can be very simple. Just smoke a deeper short. Think about it, you've done this lurk before, but wouldn't it be very risky for you to follow up with your lurk if you were just smoked off at the choke? Now you have to walk through a smoke, take a peek, and take a disadvantageous fight just in order to lurk up. Of course, this is just one way of countering a Viper. There are many others. You can play aggressive against them early with teammates, you can bring your Skye or Sova over to cycle their information utility. There are just tons of options. Just try not to let them get free value from their lurk utility. And that's my tutorial on how to play Viper. I hope you were able to take something away from this, whether you're a brand new Viper main or you've already logged hundreds of hours on the agent. The meta is constantly evolving, so there's always something you can learn and improve on as a Viper main. My final advice would just to be creative and have fun with it. Viper is an agent that rewards innovation and team play, so as long as you do that, you'll be fine. Thank you for watching, and thanks again to Riot for partnering with me to present this video. If you enjoyed, leave a like, and be sure to comment if there's something you want to see more of. Till next time, peace out.